Any part to listen in.
Give me just a second.
No problem.
You may proceed.
Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
I am Andrea Park, but I go by Amy Park.
What is your occupation?
I work at the local college here.
Are you married?
Yes, my husband is Lee Park.
How long have you been in the area?
I went to Midland State, so I've been here for a couple of years.
What is your relation to this case?
Cindy Park, the victim, will forever be my daughter.
Do you personally know the defendants as well?
Yes, Hayden Duran is Jesse Duran's mother, and I was at the hospital when they were born.
What was the relationship between Sydney and Jesse like?
They were great friends. They played together. They played outside Nerf guns. Jesse seemed to be only Sydney's friend.
Do you know what kind of games Jesse liked to play with Sydney?
Jesse was fascinated in video games, and to specific violent video games.
Did you let Sydney play these kind of video games?
No. Violent games were not allowed in our house, or she was not allowed to play without eye supervision, Lee's supervision, or our babysitters, Danny Parks.
Why did Jesse play these games?
Hayden Duran, his mother, bought them for him.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Your Honor, this goes to Article 2, parent failed to exercise reasonable control over the child.
No, Your Honor. Article 2 of what?
No, negligent parental supervision, Your Honor.
Okay, your response, counsel?
My objection was to speculation, that this witness is talking about why Hayden Duran purchased these games for Jesse, and that she did purchase the games for Jesse. The witness has no knowledge, or there has been no foundation laid to show that this witness knows that.
So are you switching then your?
I'm sorry, my objection was not speculation, I'm sorry, it was a lack of foundation.
Okay, so, counsel, you can respond to the lack of foundation. Objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe the witness did testify that she had knowledge of what games were purchased by, I apologize to the defendant here, the mother, and that they were violent in nature. I think that qualifies as a sufficient enough foundation as to, could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
My question is, why could Jesse play these games?
Okay. What I'm going to limit the testimony to is specifically towards her child's testimony, or her rationale as to why her child couldn't play violent games. So if you would just limit yourself to why your child couldn't play those video games, and don't go on to why the other parent had chosen not to use them, or to use those video games.
Understood, Your Honor.
So sustained in part.
So then why again wasn't Cindy allowed to play these video games?
From my knowledge, Hayden allowed them, but in my house, for everyone, it's all the only games that are allowed Cindy to play.
What would happen if Jesse brought these games into your house?
There was actually one incident when Jesse did bring the game into the house. It was his 11th birthday. I found out, and I actually took the game and locked it up in a cabinet so I could talk to Hayden one-on-one about it.
What did Jesse do when you locked up this video game?
He was frustrated at first, but he was understandable that those were the rules at my house.
What happened when you told Hayden about Jesse's behavior?
I never actually confronted her. I tried to, but she got off late the night that Jesse came over and wanted to play the game, so I thought I would try again a different day.
In terms of Jesse being over at your house, how is he around the topic of guns and violence?
My babysitter, Danny Parks, always told me that they like to play guns and those type of games, so I would say that he was very fascinated with guns.
Do you know if Danny told Hayden about this behavior? Going to the topic of guns, did the Durants have a gun?
No.
Did you have a gun in your house?
I did, but it was for protection. Our house was broken into previously, and we did it for my safety and for Lee's safety.
How did you store this gun in your house?
We had the gun in a locked cabinet, the bullets in the garage, and the combination to the safe in our office, which Cindy knows not to go into.
Did Cindy know about the gun?
There was one incident where she asked me, it was August 17th, 2010, where she asked if she could see it, and I said, no. I saw her rummaging through the files, but after that, she didn't question me again.
Did Jesse ever acquire this gun in your house?
The day of August 18th, he did, but I wish he hadn't.
Moving on to that day of the incident, did Danny, who was Danny again? Just to reiterate that point.
Danny is my babysitter.
Did Danny watch the kids that day?
No, Danny actually called in sick.
Did Hayden object to this arrangement?
She seemed a little anxious at first, but then I feel like she realized she had to go to work and had no other option.
Do you know how Jesse and Cindy got into the safe?
Cindy's a smart girl, so I'm guessing the two of them collaborated and figured out that the number to the safe was in the cabinets.
When did you first hear about the shooting?
9:50 in the morning. Officer Williams called me to tell me to rush home.
Once you did get home, how do you remember the crime scene?
It was a blur. I remember pulling in, there's cops everywhere. It was a blur.
What's the most memorable part about that day, if you can recall?
When I walked into the house, I saw the body on the ground with pink sparkling flip-flops on, and it was my Cindy.
Did you happen to see Hayden or Jesse at the scene of the crime?
I saw Jesse, but then Hayden came later.
Did you have anything to say to Hayden when she came over?
I did. I screamed at her that Jesse killed my daughter, and he was a murderer.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I ask that the court take judicial notice that the only objections available are relevance and leading questions. And lack of foundation.
I understood that.
Okay,
That's
okay.
fine. Notice judicial tape.
Okay.
Is counsel ready to proceed with cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed? Ms. Park, you believe that the best part of living in Fairview was being close to Jesse Duran.
And Hayden, yes.
You were very close to them.
Yes, the Durans actually got me the house.
And Hayden was one of your best friends.
You could say so.
And you were glad that Sydney finally had someone to play with.
Yes,
You thought Jesse was a great friend to Sydney.
he was.
Now, in your direct testimony, you said that violent video games were not allowed in your home.
Correct.
But that is not completely true.
Cindy was allowed to play them when a parent or a babysitter was home.
But there was violent video games in your home.
Yes,
And they were locked in a cabinet
yes,
in your room.
yes.
Now, you never expressed any concerns with Hayden Duran about Jesse.
I never got a chance.
You never did.
No.
You were next door neighbors to Hayden Duran.
Yes.
And you never told Hayden Duran your concerns.
No.
Now, you never even saw Jesse's behavior as violent.
No.
And his behavior actually never really even raised concerns with you. Now, on August 18, 2010, you let Jesse Duran and Sydney Park stay home alone.
There's another option.
But you let them stay home alone.
Yes.
And you never saw why that would be a problem.
No.
No further questions.